Chapter 2.
Nadia, have you listened to a word I've said?
Maya scolded as she waved her hand in front of my face. I blinked. What did you say? She huffed dramatically, tossing her blonde ringlets over her shoulder.
I knew you weren't listening. You had that same glazed-over expression that David gets when I'm talking about shoes.
Were you talking about shoes? If so, it's no wonder I'd tuned out. She could prattle on about shoes as if nothing else in the world existed.
No, I was talking about you.
Her big blue eyes narrowed.
What's going on? I think you're keeping something from me.
I'm not, truly, I said, hoping to deter her quizzical stare.
How come I don't believe you?
I shrugged. Perhaps you're distrustful by nature. Her jaw dropped open.
I am not.
I smirked. Even in my sour mood, I could always count on Maya to make me smile. I know you're not distrustful. I'm just in a bad mood.
So is everyone.
That's quite a broad statement. Who is everyone?
I know Grayson is in a bad mood.
My ears perked at his name. Ever since using his guest room a week ago, I've avoided him. Avoiding everyone has been my sole occupation. I haven't been at home, I've ignored calls, and I haven't worked my shifts at the chapel or at the tables. Somehow Maya found me. You talked to him? I asked nonchalantly, though my heart was pounding hard against my chest. I had wanted to call Grayson and Caleb. My phone shifted constantly between my pocket and my hand while I contemplated what to say to them. I didn't know, so I didn't call.
Of course I did. We've all been worried about you. You could have at least answered my calls. I must have tried a dozen times.
Actually, it was 21 times. There's no need to worry, I said. I'm just lying low.
Lying low? There's nothing here to lie on,
she exclaimed as her eyes searched the cavernous loft bereft of all comforts of everything. My eyes roamed my safe haven. It was a bit of luck that I had remembered Sergio had leased his loft. I had a feeling it would still be vacant when I broke in a week ago. Well, I didn't exactly break in since I had the key. I've been sitting here ever since. Some people might say I've taken the easy way out by not confronting my fears, but I'd like to see them try to fall asleep on a hardwood floor. Not so easy. As it was, I hadn't slept since I'd come to a decision. While I love both Grayson and Caleb, there's no way I can choose between them. I'd spend a lifetime with half of my heart, wondering if I'd made the right choice. So, my choice is to have no heart, no wonder, and no love. And it hurt. Really, really badly.
This is ridiculous,
Maya continued.
You're coming home with me. You can stay in the guest room as long as you want.
You're sweet, Maya, but I'm not going anywhere. I'm staying right here.
For how long?
Until I can forget.
Forget what?
She demanded with a huff. To forget that I'm in love with two men.
You're in love?
Maya gushed. Did you hear the part where I said with two men?
I always knew you loved Grayson and Caleb, but now you're finally admitting it.
How did you know?
It's obvious. It's as plain as those shoes you're wearing.
I peeked down at my unfashionable and plain sneakers. If it's so obvious, how come I never knew? She shrugged.
Sometimes it takes a little while before the brain catches up with the heart.
What do I do? I can't decide between them.
That's a good question. I've only ever been in love with David, so it was an easy decision. Do you think you may love one man more than the other?
I shook my head. The same. I've been trying to think of my life without one or the other, and it's always the same conclusion. I love them both equally. Maya pondered.
What if Caleb and Grayson were standing on a crumbling cliff, and you could only save one? Who would you choose?
That's easy, I said, because I had asked myself similar questions. I'd jump. No sense in wasting perfectly handsome men. Maya pouted.
I think this may call for reinforcements.
No reinforcements. You have to keep my hideaway a secret. I need time.
You don't need time. What you need is clairvoyance.
Sure. Why don't you head down to the corner store and buy a serving?
Don't be silly. I mean it. Weren't you the one who met a gypsy at the police station? And didn't she say you were going to get married that same night? And you did.
You want a palm reader to decide my fate?
It couldn't hurt.
I shrugged. No, it couldn't hurt. No worse than it already does. It took 30 minutes and a series of lies to finally shoo Maya out the door. My little hideaway was quiet once again, but a little too quiet. I peeled myself from the hard floor and stood with a stretch. If I didn't do anything else today, I should at least check on Gus. For all I knew, he could be next in line for a wax. A furless Gus wouldn't be a pretty Gus or a happy Gus. As I drove to the chapel, I wondered if Maya was serious in her threat to drag me to a palm reader. I had no desire to know my fate, even if it was made-up baloney. I'll figure it out eventually. I just hope it won't be too late. Pulling into the chapel parking lot, I heard strains of arguing. I parked the car and headed into the building. As I ascended the stairs, the arguing grew louder and unfortunately clearer. I knocked on Frankie's door, and moments later it swung open. "What is going on in my apartment?" I asked as I heard a door slam above.
Oh, that?
He waved toward the ceiling.
I think the little dude channeled some serious big dude macho vibes. They've been at each other's throats for days. It's to the point where I've tuned them out.
"How can you tune that out?" I asked as another door slammed and arguing broke out.
You can't keep the remote.
The man bellowed.
It's the only entertainment here.
You weren't saying that when you were groping me last night. And this morning.
Muffin growled.
It's my TV! My remote!
My eyes drifted to the ceiling as they scuffled. A series of crashes followed by a loud thwump vibrated the walls.
You just broke my remote!
Muffin growled.
You broke the remote. Not everything is a piñata, including me.
Oh, I'll show you what a piñata is.
Muffin bellowed. I don't want to know what my apartment looks like, I thought, wincing as the walls shook with another thwump. Maybe I'll just move into Sergio's place. I continued my thoughts with a sigh. The effort of hauling all my belongings to Sergio's made me give up the plan instantly. Glass shattered. Of course, by the sound of it, I'll have nothing left to haul. "How's Gus?" I asked, ignoring the sound of my life and worldly possessions shattering.
See for yourself.
Frankie said, allowing me in.
Mark's been treating him like a baby. I think he gained a pound with all the treats.
He's supposed to be on a diet. I followed Frankie into the living room to find Gus sprawled on the couch in a snow-white dress. "Frankie, why is Gus in a dress?" I asked, as Gus rolled over to scratch, getting tangled in the dress's flounce.
Gus!
Mark scolded as he fluttered into the room.
We have company. That's no way to greet her.
My eyes slid from Mark to Gus, and then over to Frankie. Frankie just shrugged as his eyes rolled to the ceiling.
It's easier to just go with it.
Who's a pretty princess?
Mark cooed as he brushed Gus's fur. Does he know Gus is a boy? I asked Frankie.
You're talking about a former drag queen with a screw loose.
Frankie said. But did he have to put a bow on his head? Gus doesn't look too happy.
When has he ever looked happy? You should have seen him 2 days ago. He had on rouge and a tiara.
Should I take him with me? I asked, wondering if such torture was inhumane.
Take him where? Your apartment isn't safe.
He said just as the ceiling vibrated from a falling object. Or person. I've been staying at Sergio's this past week. I can take Gus with me.
No,
Frankie said with a little too much emphasis. He cleared his throat.
Mark is giving Gus all the attention right now. If Gus is gone...
Frankie shivered.
Let's just say I don't want to become a human Barbie doll.
Where's Leopard Pants?
I gave him money for a bus ticket home. They've been like two hens fighting over the same worm.
Frankie said, eyeing Mark as he brought out little booties for Gus. I think I'll head out, I said, stepping to the door. I'm sorry I haven't been around to help with the chapel.
With as many people as there are living in this building, we've had plenty of help. Of course, it wasn't all helpful help.
He stopped me before I could leave.
I found a gig for you.
No gigs. I backed out the door. I'm a millionaire now.
Caleb forked over the money?
He said he would. Did anything arrive while I've been away? Frankie shook his head.
I would have noticed if cash had come through these doors.
He would have sent a check.
The only thing you received was a few bills.
I silently groaned. Either I'd have to get in touch with Caleb, or I'd have to hit the tables again. Neither sat well at the present moment. Silence. The fighting stopped. Frankie cringed when music kicked on. "Let's get it on," I asked in horror as music drifted through the ceiling.
Not too subtle, are they?
"Take care of Gus," I called, running down the stairs. "What in the world am I gonna do?" I slurred as Roy flagged down a topless cocktail server. "Why are we here?" I asked, wondering how I ended up in a strip club.
You wanted to tag along on Guy's Night.
Roy said.
This is what happens on Guy's Night.
Do you know what your problem is?
Chuck asked while he enjoyed his third lap dance of the evening. He had to run out of money soon, I thought hopefully. It wouldn't be so bad if I wasn't sitting next to him. "What's my problem?" "Other than following Roy here," I muttered, trying to avoid a face full of breasts while the dancer gyrated on his lap. Hiccup.
You're a woman who thinks too much. Who cares if you like two men? If you have to decide, pick the one that gets you off. You gals get too wrapped up in emotional crap.
"It's not that simple," I said. "I don't want to lose either of them." Hiccup.
There's no reason you can't see both of them until you've made up your mind. Hell, you may get tired of one after a week.
Roy said.
It's like a tournament. You play everyone until you're heads up with the final player. Then you know you have the best of the best.
"That feels too close to cheating," I said. Though there was logic in it. If only life was like a flip of the cards.
Did either man ask you to be in a monogamous relationship?
Roy asked.
Monogamous being the key word.
Well, it's hard to say. I think they both want a relationship, but the words weren't put exactly that way. I don't think. Maybe. I don't know. Hiccup.
Then go out on a few dates. There's no need to shackle yourself in a relationship until you're ready, which you're obviously not.
Roy said, slipping $1 to a woman wiggling in front of him. Chuck frowned when his lap dance ended. The stripper snatched his money and said,
Actually, dating may be just the thing. Sounds like you stumbled over a few steps and missed the beginning.
"Missed the beginning?" I thought back and realized the amply bosomed woman was right. "You might be onto something there," I said in wonder as another hiccup ricocheted through.
Why don't we talk about it over a lap dance?
The stripper propositioned. I glanced up, trying to avoid her breasts again. Why the hell did I follow Roy here? "No, thank you," I said, turning my eyes to my drink.
This one's on me.
Chuck said.
It'll cheer you up.
"A lap dance won't cheer me up," I said. Unless it was Grayson or Caleb dancing. A grin spread on my face.
Then it'll cheer me up.
Chuck said, forking out cash into the stripper's outstretched hand. "Holy hell,